Let's have a look at Field Flipping 2.0. I can already feel those itchy keyboard fingers clacking away. Come along with me, MrSealyp. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start with a warning. Viewer discretion is advised. It does say that on the thumbnail. If you are of a nervous disposition, if you don't agree with cheating, if you don't agree with hacks, if you don't agree with nefarious shenanigans, you may wish to look away now. I'm sure people will decide not to look away and will still complain and get angry about it. That, of course, is your choice. So you don't have to like what I'm doing. Now, was suggested to me by one of my subscribers. I'm not going to shout him out or mention his name because there could be a backlash. You never know. If between now and when I post this, I message him and he says that's okay, I might put his name up on the screen. But anyway, you may or may not be aware of the concept of field flipping. A little bit of history behind this. Prior to FS19, field flipping was not a thing. So what is field flipping? If you're new to the game, you've just never heard of it, you've never done it. Field flipping is the concept that you wait for a field to be ready to harvest that's got a crop in it that you might want for whatever reason. You might just want it to sell it, you might want it for animal feed or whatever. You buy the field, you harvest the field, and then you sell the field back again. You don't lose any money selling the field, so you've done a field flip. You've made a profit on it, you sell the field back. That's a straightforward field flip. Prior to FS19, if you bought a field, you owned a field, that was it. You couldn't sell it back, it wasn't a thing. So when FS19 came out, it was a big thing, this concept of being able to buy and sell land if you wanted to. A thing that we kind of take for granted now, but it was a thing. So what you would generally do, you would go to the map, you'd have a look, and you think, okay, well all these fields are ready to harvest. Now, this obviously only works if you've got enough money to buy the fields. If you haven't, if you're just starting out, you might look at smaller fields, and you could do it if you wanted to. Now, field flipping is frowned upon. When it first came out, it was that thing of, wow, this is amazing. This is a cool thing. You can buy and sell fields. Generally speaking, what I would do, I think when I did it on FS19 on Ravensburg, I think it was, if I did a field flip and got the crop, what I would do before I sold it back, I would cultivate the land or fertilise the land or do something to it so that when I was selling it on, I say selling it back, when I was selling it on to whoever bought it next, they'd get a field that was kind of prepped in some way, ready to go. You don't have to do that. And again, like I say, it is frowned upon. People don't like it. Some people do it all the time, some people don't. And again, if you don't like it, if you don't want to do it, no one's forcing you to. No one's forcing you to do it. So this is next level field flipping. This is field flipping 2.0, and this is not something I'd ever really thought about before. So when I got the message, I thought, you know what, I'll put it out there because it might be you already do this, it might be you already know about it, it might be there's already videos out there on this. I don't know for certain. There might well be, but it might be there's a field, there's a crop type that you want for whatever particular reason. For example, I'm doing potatoes. Potatoes yield very well, as do sugar beet. But any crop type that requires specialist equipment, we don't always have specialist equipment, and sometimes specialist equipment can be expensive to lease as well. So if you looked at a field and thought I could flip that field, but to do that I'm going to have to lease stuff, I'm going to have to borrow, whatever it may be. So the concept behind this is field flipping, but also utilising the contract system as well. So the premise behind this being that you go into your contracts page, you have a look at harvesting, and it can be anything, it can be any contract at all. I can look down any of these contracts. It might be you've only got a small harvester, it might be there's some big fields and you think, actually, you know what, I could do that, but it'll take me a while. I particularly want some canola, I need some sorghum, whatever it might be. So generally speaking, you would just buy the field, harvest it with your own gear, or you might want to lease some gear, that's entirely up to you. And then on you go. With this, you're using the contract system. So you borrow items, whatever equipment it is, because it's always far, far cheaper to borrow items. It says there, lease equipment for a reward reduced by 2,177. To lease that equipment would cost you a lot more. Certainly cost you a lot more than what the contract is offering as well. So when you factor in a harvester that might cost you 20 grand to lease, and then the tractor at potentially the size of it, 15, 20 grand, then trailers, then headers, you know. So obviously the bigger the contracts go, the one I'm doing at the moment is a potato harvest. The potato contract pays out 40 grand. Now for the time it would take to borrow or to lease that equipment, to lease the potato harvester, run it for the time it would take to do the harvest, there'd be the hourly fees as well. I would make some money, of course I would. But there are things to factor in. I mean, like I say, I'm just showing this because someone suggested it, and I thought, you know what, we'll put it up. It might make a good video. There are going to be some things that people may question, elements of it. You think, well, actually, in certain situations, it may actually be cheap for you to just lease equipment and run it. But full harvester, and I think my trailer's full as well. So, what I've done then is I've borrowed equipment from the farmer. I've got my potato harvester, I've got a trailer, I've got a tractor now. What you do with this, I think it's asking for this all to be delivered to the transport company. I'm not going to deliver any of this. I'm going to put it all into a silo. I've placed one just over there just for the purposes of this video. I think I've got 240,000 litres in there already. If I go in and we check in here, it should tell me potatoes. Yeah, 240,000 litres. So I'm going to carry on harvesting until I've completed the harvest, until we've got all the crop off and all the crop is into my silo. So I'm going to put this in now. I will see you in a little while. Once this is all done, we'll see how much crop we've got. And we'll move on to the final stage. It's fairly simple, it's fairly straightforward, but like I said, this kind of utilises the fact that, you know, it might... I initially thought, well, this is only going to really work for contracts that require specialist equipment, like beet harvesters, and it might be for sugar cane, or, you know, certain things that we don't always... Cotton harvest, you know, cotton harvesters are expensive to buy. So that thing of, I could lease one, but if I can get one cheaper from the farmer borrowing it, it works out a better way of doing it, I guess. So like I say, I'll see you at the end when I've got all of this harvested, and we will do the final step. For you, mere seconds. For me, a little bit longer. We've got the last 22,500 coming in to put into our silo. Now, it doesn't matter what silo it is. Like I said, it's all going to depend on what crop you've got, what silos you've got in your farm. Just store it. Don't take it to be delivered just yet. So we should be able to check once this is unloaded to see how much we've actually got. And that should be here. So 616,963. Now, under normal circumstances, that would be taken, because it's asking me to harvest it and take it to the transport company. So I would take that, deliver it. It would take what it needed to fulfill the contract, and then whatever was left over, I could keep, which generally speaking for sugar beet and potato is pretty high. But normally most crops, depending on the size of the field, you'll have a little bit left over. Now, here's the thing. This is where things change a little bit. If I complete this contract now, I've kept the crop, I haven't delivered it, I will get fined because I haven't delivered anything. So I've kept the crop. They will say, look, you've not delivered anything, you've failed in the contract, you now owe us X amount, and you get fined. I've never actually done it, in all honesty. I've never kept a crop and failed in a contract. So this is where it changes with the field flipping, utilising contracting. What I do now, I go into here, field 19, click on it and buy the field. So I've harvested it, I haven't delivered anything, I've got a contract live on it. If I buy the land now and go back down to our contract, the contract's gone because I own the field now. The equipment's gone. There's no fine. Oh yeah, because I bought the field. I'm thinking my money's gone down. No, because I bought the field. So that's where this is the next level of field flipping. So it's an interesting way of doing it. And like I say, I mean, the premise really, I could have done this anyway. I could have bought the field at the start that had potatoes in it. I could have leased equipment, I could have run my equipment. If I owned the equipment, it didn't matter. I could just do it. Do the harvest, sell the field back. Do it this way, utilising the contract equipment, like I said, right from the start. It's all about specialist equipment, stuff you don't have. I've not been fined for not delivering it, so I should still have, if I go up and check in here, we should still have the 616,963 litres in our silo, which is now technically mine. If I go back to the map, field 19, and then say, I'll sell it back then. Got my money back, got all the crop, used their equipment. Now, like I said right from the start, this is nefarious beyond. It's bordering on sinister. It's like I say, this was sent to me as a thing. Did you know you could do this? Or this is next level, you know. So I thought I'll put a video on it. Why not? Would I do it? No. Have I done field flipping in the past? On FS19 I did, when it was a new thing. I haven't done field flipping. I can't remember the last time I bought a field and then sold it back after harvesting it. I might have bought fields, had them for a while, and then thought, actually I'm not using it, or I don't want it anymore, or I'm going to use that money to invest in a bigger field, and then sold it on. But I don't think I've done field flipping. I'm sure people put in the comments the last time I did it. I don't think I've done it for a while. Do I agree with it? It's one of those things, like everything, there's nothing to stop anybody. It's no different to flipping houses. There's nothing to stop you buying farmland or buying land and selling it on. Is it okay to do it when, and because in game, because each field is assigned, you know, when you've got contracts, they're owned by somebody. And that premise, originally people would say, well, that's not on, is it? Because you've just ripped that farmer off. If you can separate the two and just look at it as it's a plot of land, I've bought it, I've done whatever with it. If you leave it in a better state than you found it, like I say, you might decide I'll do a load of work to it and then I'll sell it on. I might cultivate it, I might, you know, whatever it is, you might do some other work to it, or you might just be really, really heartless and say, you know what, no, I'm just taking this for all it's worth. Now, if you want to go another step further, this was what was also suggested to me, before you sell the land back, which I've just done, what you can do, and obviously this is taking it another step further, you could mow and bale, or mow and collect all the outsides of the field, so all the grass around the outside of the field. You could take that, you could cut all the trees down, that if there's any trees on the outside, the verges around the outside of the field, you could do all of that and then sell the land back. So you've literally stripped it if you wanted to. Again, would I? Probably not. You know, never say never, but probably not. So there we go. Like it or hate it, that's next level field flipping. I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, please give us a like. I'm sure I won't get many likes, but please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.